What is going on, Notre Dame fans? Mike Singer and Tim Hyde with this week's Notre Dame football show here on YouTube. Pod Like a Champion if you're listening to the audio-only version of this show. Tim, how you doing, my friend? What's new, my friend? I always like to ask you, see what's going on before we dive into the show. What's new in your world?
Yeah, and I think I've said the same thing for the last 9 months, right? One day closer to Ohio State. I don't care what anyone says. I'm sticking to it. And how about we spend 30 seconds real quick, Mike, about you and I have been doing the live post games for 3 years now. Goolsby did them in 2020. And for the first time, people are angry we wear a shirt and a tie. It's like we do it 12 times a year, people. That's it. We like to have fun with it, all right? So
It's funny. The last 2 or 3 times we popped on here, we had the same shirt on too. They're obviously not the same exact shirt, but same color. I think Saturday, we had the same tie on, or something. And
we're not planning it because last week we both got the same shirt. I went down and changed. Today I'm like, no, I'm sticking to the Notre Dame blue tonight. So we'll just roll from there and let's get ready for Tennessee State. Talk some more overreaction towards Navy and the hoopla that's happening, right?
Yeah. So a lot of fun for today's show. Lots of good talk. We're in football season, everybody.
Oh yeah.
So really excited about that. But before we dive into it, I think let's go ahead and let's hear from a sponsor. Hey, real quick, but we got Paul dropping a $10 super chat. Paul, let us know whatever you want to talk about. We'll get to that right after we hear from our sponsors over at Bird Dogs. Definitely a high quality clothing brand for folks if you're wanting to check out like a slim fit, comfortable, flexible, stretchy shorts to rock this summer, and even as we get into the fall for you folks in some warmer climate. Maybe some stylish pants, some polos to improve your wardrobe. You want to check out again our sponsor for today's show. That's Bird Dogs. Their shorts just fit way better than the regular stuff you might be wearing, which is made of a stiff, restricting cotton. But Bird Dogs fixed this by inventing cloud knit fabric that looks just like khaki but stretches so you get a slimmer fit without having to sacrifice movement. Go to this is the key, folks. Go to birddogs.com/BGI, or if you purchase something, just enter promo code BGI and you will get a Hydro Flask style water bottle with your order. Again, that's birddogs.com/BGI or promo code BGI for a free Hydro Flask style water bottle. You won't want to take your Bird Dogs off, we promise you. So good stuff from Bird Dogs. Definitely have enjoyed rocking my Bird Dogs. So again, Paul with a $10 super chat. Don't see a comment from you, Paul, but if you have anything, let us know. But the dive into the show today, Tim, how many times you got to watch Notre Dame Navy?
I've definitely watched them a couple times, obviously live, and did, when I was texting you, I watched a replay during your guys' show right at the end. I watched it, stayed up late and watched it Sunday night while I listened to you and Goolsby break everything down. That was good. And a little spot shadow here and there. So no, I got pretty really have concentrated on the offense. Defense, it's Navy, and you see a bunch of guys playing in a mosh pit basically. So it's that is what it is. But really concentrate a lot on the offense.
Okay, and here's Paul's comment. He says Angeli better play 50% of the next game because he has one ACL injury to Sam Hartman to being the starting quarterback against Ohio State. I certainly agree. I hope he I would love to see him, if Notre Dame's able to go, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, 3 and out, touchdown, Tennessee State throws a pick, then you get into the 35-42 nothing halftime kind of deal. Then you would think that Angeli plays the entire second half, but he was going to play the entire fourth quarter. Basically, he was going to play again. I think it was 12 minutes. Notre Dame went up 42 nothing. He was going to play, and this till Navy had that 8-minute drive, and then, Angeli got in 3 minutes left, 39 points up. So I do think we'll see him a good bit on Saturday, Tim.
Oh yeah, I'm sure. I mean, this is why they scheduled this game, was to have this after the long the long, I almost said drive home. Jeez, the long flight back from Ireland. Last time they did this, they played Big Ten Purdue and had a dogfight till the last second with them. So this is, perfect type of game after, I mean, last week the atmosphere was unbelievable. It was like a bowl game. It was crazy. Right. The photos and reading Tyler Horka's articles he did for Blue and Gold. I mean, it was an electric atmosphere, and the pictures of the Dublin streets going to the ball game was crazy. So, yeah, I mean, they're probably going to be a little flat here and there, getting their sea legs back under them and rolling from there. And by halftime they should get rolling. Second half, I'm sure we're going to see everyone under the sun playing. So, Angeli third quarter, Minchie fourth quarter. That's what I would do. I don't think Angeli's going to play an entire half.
No, I think Minchie might get that last 3 minutes kind of deal. I don't think he should get an entire quarter.
Well, he's a freshman. I mean, why not? It's going to be an open competition.
I think
everyone assumes.
I think to Paul's point, I think you would play him to get him more reps.
Why? I mean, they didn't last week, Mike. They did.
Again, they were going to. He was going to.
Okay, hold on. They're up 35-0. They could easily. I know Hartman started because that drive I think had 2 plays and the fourth quarter started. They could easily take it. And the game's 35-0. They didn't. And I know Navy had the long drive. I get all that stuff.
Do you not remember 35-0 last year?
What's that?
Do you remember 35-0 against that same team last year?
It was actually 35-13. So,
but
it wasn't in the fourth quarter. So. It was
which is when they went to put Angeli in.
What's that?
Which the fourth quarter is when they went to put him in. That's what I'm saying. Like the game was out of hand. You had to step on the throat.
Oh no! I agree, but they could have got him in. I mean, he could have finished that one drive. He could have finished that opening drive of the fourth quarter, but he didn't because they didn't put him in. They kept Hartman in, and the game became 42-0. So. And then obviously you got to assume Navy versus backups, Notre Dame's backups on D is going to go for a long drive, which they did. So with all the new clock rules and things of that nature, he only got a couple minutes and he still handed off basically. So, hey,
you're right. Angeli decided to hand off. Like, yeah, the coach was like, Angeli, take some bombs. He said, no, I just want to hand it off.
Why? Every game this guy's ever played, he hands off. And the only pass he throws is basically a triple option. Dive, quarterback, run to the edge, throw a ball.
Tim, you've had some bad takes. What are you? He's a backup quarterback, and you throw him in the game. It's a blowout. They're going to hand the ball off. What the hell do you expect, Tim?
Okay.
Seriously, what do you expect? 42-3 with 3 minutes left. You want them to run 4 verts, Tim? Like that's what you expect?
Wait. Well, you're talking about going up 35, 42 points against Tennessee State. So you want them to throw all 4 verts in a blowout against an FCS 1AA Tennessee State? Let them run the real offense? What's the difference?
Get the man more action in a live game. That's what I'm saying.
Hold on. What is action? Handing off or playing quarterback? He's yet to play quarterback.
Then let the man play quarterback.
Mike, he got in last year multiple times and handed off. He got in the very first game of the year, 42-0. I've yet to see this guy throw a forward pass. So I just hope, I'm sure he'll get a forward pass against Tennessee State.
I just don't understand your point here. You're just trying to poke the Angeli thing.
It's not.
Just because you're a troll. Like, I don't understand.
No, we start this show and it's instantly like, oh, you got to let Angeli play. Why? Why does the entire Saturday got to get built around Steve Angeli? I don't understand.
It doesn't. All I'm saying is if they're up 42-0 at halftime against an FCS program, let the kid play.
And I'm sure he will play. But is that playing towards he's just going to hand off? Because what people want him to do is to go out there and throw the ball and sling the ball all over the place. We've yet to see him do that. So that's why I'm saying let him do that in the third quarter. Let Minchie do that in the fourth quarter. And let those 2 guys each get a quarter in the second half. This game should be a blowout. So, but is that going to be how Marcus Freeman plays this thing? If you're up 40, let's say you're up 42-7 at halftime. There's no need to play anyone in this game because you're going on the road the next week against NC State. So is the game going to be, let's get out of here, keep everyone healthy, play all these backups, let them have some fun? Or is it going to be, well, we got to get, which is going to Paul's point, we got to get Angeli ready for in case, Hartman blows out his knee, as he said. So do you let him play the real offense? Was the real offense last week just hand off, and throw a 2-yard pass to Rico Flores? The pass behind the line of scrimmage, by the way. So I don't know. I'm just answering the man's question.
I don't understand you sometimes, Tim, but we'll move on.
But I don't understand this obsession with Steve Angeli is.
Tim, it's the backup quarterback. Everyone was talking about the backup quarterback.
That's why I said Minchie. Let them all play. They're going to play all the walk-ons. So why not give Minchie a fourth quarter?
I don't think you give them the entire quarter. I think you give them half of the quarter. But
okay, then they probably will. The way the clock's moving, they probably will.
All right. This was not on the docket for today's show, but I thought this was pretty interesting. On3 tweeted this out today. Urban Meyer does a podcast, a video deal with Tim May, who's a writer at Letterman Rose, the On3's Ohio State website. And this is what Urban Meyer had to say about Notre Dame and quarterback recruiting. Have you seen this yet, Tim?
No.
Okay.
I just saw a blurb of it on the message board real quick.
Here you go.
Quarterback played well. I still am amazed that Notre Dame's got to go to Wake Forest to get a transfer quarterback. That doesn't equate to me. No, he's a great player.
Yeah.
But Notre Dame's got to go recruit them a 5-star, and they should have 1, 2, and 3 excellent quarterback because it's Notre Dame. You should recruit Ohio State, those top blue blood teams. You should be in the mix in every top quarterback in America and get them.
And guess what, Urban? He's in his 6th year. What could you have done with 6 years of like Tim Tebow or something? I mean, that's crazy, isn't it? When Ohio State's got a kid on their, as Tristan Jebbia, transfer from Oregon State. He's basically a coach within that quarterback room, which is led by your son-in-law, Corey Dennis, the quarterback's coach. But he's in his 7th year in college football. That's kind of crazy, isn't it, when you think about it?
Well, I remember Mark Pantoni, the recruiting coordinator at Ohio State, and we would have conversations. The great players leave after 3. If you're really killing it, and I'm not saying they're not great players, but after 3 years, they're gone. Ohio State's quarterbacks are gone after 3 years. It started with Dwayne Haskins. Now, the fact that you have guys who've been there 6 years, obviously that's a little bit of luxury. But once again, Notre Dame, in my opinion, should, in everyone's opinion, you go recruit you the best quarterback in the country, develop them, let him play for 2 years. He goes be a first-round draft pick. For them to get where they have to get, that has to happen.
Thoughts, Tim?
Yeah, there's a billion things in there, I guess, but they have recruited guys. They have recruited high caliber guys and whatnot over the years. So is he just talking about the recent few years? I'm sure he doesn't know the roster, but obviously Minchie was a top 200 guy. Carr is going to be a top 50, 100, whatever his final ranking will be. So there's a couple there. Buckner was a top 100. Jurkovec was top 100. So Wimbush was top 50. So obviously Notre Dame has had guys. It's not like they're bums that they've gone out and done. So yeah, the fact that he probably, I'm sure Urban Meyer's not breaking down, Blue and Gold Illustrated, the articles and all that stuff. Yeah. Why did, obviously Hartman come here? Because Marcus Freeman loves experience. People don't like to hear that, but he does. He talked about it after the game. He gushed all about the experience with Hartman. Talked about it all last year. So he went out and got an experienced quarterback, as have a ton of other programs since the portal's come alive. So, I don't know. It's just Urban Meyer yapping. When he says you should get 5-star quarterbacks, well, obviously Notre Dame calls them. So it doesn't mean that, you're not, they're not, just because you call them doesn't mean they flock there. So, heck, look at this year. Notre Dame, look at all the quarterbacks they've offered this year. And I think they've offered eight big-time quarterbacks, I think. And 6 instantly said no to Notre Dame. So they're down to recruiting Deuce Knight and Bear out of Temecula. Is it Temecula Valley he's at or Marietta?
Marietta Valley.
Is it Marietta? Yeah. I mean, they're right next door to each other. So, yeah. So, I mean, they've offered a bunch in the top 10 this year, and they're, recruiting 2 left. So, interesting. This Urban Meyer.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like with some of the stuff you and Goolsby say about like Notre Dame needs to build the quarterbacks on their roster and not go get a transfer. I mean, you guys kind of agree with that, right?
Yeah, I mean, but we're not the head football coach. That's why I'm listening to what Marcus Freeman says. That's why I am of the opinion of what he's going to do it. So I guess Urban Meyer is going to be upset if he follows Tim Hyde's advice. He's going to get another transfer next year. So we'll see what Urban has to say at this time next year. But yeah, I think Marcus Freeman is just going to recruit guys, and if there's dudes out there in the portal, he's going to bring them in.
I think so too.
I do.
That's what we've been talking about for years at this point.
Yeah, I think he's going to bring him in, and I don't know, man. When he talks about experience, and I'm going back to last December, or even after the bowl game and whatnot, when he talks about quarterbacks and experience, that's like that's his favorite thing to chat about when it comes to offense.
Yeah,
he doesn't talk much offense, but he'll talk about experienced quarterbacks. But once again, how do you get experience if you don't play, if you don't get in, if you don't do all these things? It's going back to the giant circle, and not to get back on, Angeli. I was a little like, dude, play him the whole fourth quarter. You're up 35-0. There's no need, unless he wanted Hartman to get a 4th touchdown or whatever it was. I was like, man, he could. How many times have we seen quarterbacks just tip the cap to the fans? The next guy comes on. That's what I was expecting at the start of the fourth, especially when I went back and rewatched it. Perfect thing, right? Hartman was unbelievable that game. He could have walked out fourth quarter, standing ovation to that fan base. And Angeli go out and finish the whole entire fourth quarter, got 2 drives in. And I mean, let him run that offense on that, drive. He could have gone down. I think they handed off every single play until they threw the screen pass there. So he could have easily have done that, I figure. But that's going back to the hamster wheel Goolsby constantly talks about. Just when are you going to get off?
Speaking of Marcus Freeman, do you think he watches the show?
He sure does sound like. He sounds like you and I when we talk about Greathouse and Flores. I mean, seriously, his quotes were like coming right out of our mouths there. I thought it was funny.
Yeah. And so what Tim's talking about is Jaden Greathouse coming from Austin Westlake, playing a ton of ball as a freshman. I mean, he's like a freshman All-American per max spreads. Rico Flores from Folsom, California, Northern California. I mean, 2 of the best programs. I mean, Westlake's usually top 10 program nationally. Folsom's usually in the top 25-ish. I'm just going off the top of my head just in recent years. And we have talked about, man, when you play for those kind of programs, your readiness is it's so much more because you played at basically like a mini college. Like I remember it was September of 2020 when Notre Dame was recruiting Kate Klubnik, Austin, Texas Westlake High School as well. I was in the area for a little family getaway, and I went to go see him because his school was only, I think, a half hour from where I was. It's like a 5 a.m. workout. I don't know. I got it was that was again September 2020, so it's not, you weren't able to see too many recruits. Actually, it was August 2020, but anyways, you weren't able to see too many recruits at that point. So I was just itching to go out on the road to see a recruit. So again, 5 a.m, and Jaden Greathouse was actually a freshman at that point, and just seeing that workout, you're like, oh, this is different. Like there's no one joking, there's no one running in late, no passes hitting the ground. Like I'm like, holy crap, that was one of the most impressive workouts I've ever seen for a high school level. So like that's the kind of program that Jaden Greathouse is coming from, and it definitely has gotten him ready for Notre Dame. And that's what Freeman talked about in his press conference on Monday, Tim.
Yeah, no, it's perfect. I mean, those are like some of the things we highlighted when they went out and got him. And obviously with, Rico Flores, when he committed back then, just going over Folsom. Folsom's a heck of a high school football program up north. We talked about this a few weeks, that the current Stanford coach is the one that built that thing. So that's what got him on the map as he moved up the coaching food chain, so to speak, out there. So heck of a football program. I mean, it goes back to why I always talk about the Trinity League. Those dudes are just I mean, that's what they're used to. They're used to 5:30 a.m. lifts, 5:30 a.m. conditioning in the off season. They do winter conditioning like they're at USC, Notre Dame, Ohio State, the big boys out there. That's what they do. And they just train. Those coaches, all they do is football, and they get paid to do football. And you're in the offices all day. You're doing lunchtime meetings, this meeting, weight room after hours. Everyone's got a position coach. There's not 5 coaches. There's like 15. Go look at St. John Bosco, who obviously Notre Dame, is getting, Kingston from the linebacker. They literally have 20 coaches. Everyone coaches something. You got the Sam backers, I'll coach the Mikes. And it's just so specialized. And when you recruit at programs like that, and there's lots of them in the country, some of these guys, man, they go right into programs and they're ready to roll. Like, Bosco whipped out Aquinas. Aquinas has dudes all over the place too. Bosco's just, different level right now. But when you get, that's why I think Kingston's going to play right from the get-go. He's been playing for 4 years at St. John Bosco, which is literally a mini college.
Yeah. I think it was his sophomore year he had an injury.
His injury is, sophomore year. Started as a freshman. But, I mean, look at so many of the Trinity League quarterbacks that have moved on, that have gone on and played right away. And, I mean, Bryce Young, obviously, right out modern day, obviously he sat behind, Mac Jones, who was a stud. But as soon as the ball was his, he's up and running. Same thing. God, there's so many great high school programs out there. And when you see freshmen that are All-American, most of the time they're probably, I bet you I haven't studied it, but I wouldn't be surprised if half of the freshman All-Americans are coming from big time programs out of their states or region that are ready to come and ready to play college football.
Sure. All right. Well, we have one more sponsor to get to before hearing from Tim on some other topics in today's show. And this one is Gametime.co. It's not Gametime.com, folks. It is Gametime.co. And this is a place that makes the ticket buying process a lot easier, because it can be a stressful process. You got to find that event you want to attend, got to get the seats you want, and then the actual ticket purchasing process is a different thing. But Gametime.co makes it easy, especially if you want those last minute tickets. It's a fast and easy way to buy tickets for sports, music, comedy, theater near you with killer last minute ticket deals, so you can relax and get hyped for the fun you'll have. And if you use the promo code BGI, just those 3 letters, BGI, you will get $20 off your first purchase. They'll even guarantee that you'll get the lowest price, or they'll refund you 110%. You really don't need to plan months in advance, since they have deals right up to game time. Snag the tickets without the stress at Gametime.co. Create the app or download the app at Gametime. Use that promo code BGI for $20 off your purchase. Terms apply. Download Gametime today. Last minute tickets, lowest price guaranteed. I mean, you can even get some Notre Dame tickets, for even Tennessee State this weekend. The whole slate there is available if you are interested in purchasing Notre Dame tickets over at Gametime.co. Baldwin's Aaron Schott says Deuce Knight, our guy. Let's go. I don't know why you're saying Deuce Knight. Let's go. But hey, we love the Deuce around here. We do love the Deuce. And Tim, it should be mentioned that Notre Dame got out of Navy with they're relatively healthy. No guys were cramping up there. You had Rubio. Rubio's out for a couple of weeks, but other than that, Notre Dame got out of there healthy. So that's all I gotta say about that. But yeah, Tim, you wanted to talk about the usage of Notre Dame tight ends. I know when you were doing your rewatch, that was something that you were eyeing in on. So I was curious, like, are you concerned at all? Or is it like, no, those guys were open. Hartman just was finding more wide open guys. So I was just curious about the Notre Dame tight end usage.
Yeah, well, it obviously came during, once we saw the snaps. I know it was something that you talked about. It probably had more to do with Greathouse's numbers. I thought of his low numbers, yet even Colsey, right? Colsey was like 7. I think Greathouse is 8 or 9 snaps.
Yep.
So. And I chart during the game a whole bunch, and I knew they played 12 personnel. I had no idea they played this this much.
Sorry, Tim, we do have someone named Deuce Knight saying go to Irish in the podcast. That's why.
Oh, the
in
Deuce
the chat.
is in.
So thank you, Deuce. We love the Deuce.
We love it. Oh boy. You're trying hard to knock me off.
All right, continue, Tim, about the tight end.
I love it. I'll just, oh man, deep breath, right? But so with double tight end, there's a lot of plays. I thought that was Great House. When I went back and watched that slot, it was Stays. Stays played more slot than Great House did in the game. They had two tight ends. I had 57% of the snaps with Sam Hartman in. So I thought, so either two tight ends, three tight ends, which was Sherwood, and they even did a goal line package, which was with Tosh Baker out there as a tight end next to Joe Alt. So they did 4 in the games. So I found that fascinating with the tight ends. And then it was, I guess the usage goes back to they had no catches. So, which was fascinating. So the crack staff of Tim Hyde and the 10 Fingers and Mr. Google went back, and I scrolled all the games. There's a bunch of games with one tight end. 2017. I found 2017, the last game was Navy. And also earlier in that year, they had Miami of Ohio tight end didn't have a catch. So I just stopped at 17. So 2 games and 2 again, Mike. Geez Louise, you're killing me now. So there's so they had 2 games in 2017. Every other game since then, a tight end has had a catch. So I just found that fascinating looking at what Parker, we talked about all offseason. What are we going to see from Parker? I found it very revealing during the press conferences I've brought up before of the players talking about same calls, same formations, a lot of the same things we've done in the past we're doing again. And I thought it showed personnel package wise once, during the Navy game. It was fascinating because we've talked a ton how I just assumed they're going to be a ton in 11, but no, they were in 12. Like, as I said, almost 60% of the snaps with Sam Hartman. So is this going to be a 1 game off, or is this because obviously the personnel package worked fine with Evan. Stays is unbelievable out there blocking his tail off. So is this going to be one of those things that will continue, or is it something to give Great House maybe a few more games, another month until he starts cracking 25, 30 snaps out there? Do not say that. Come on.
Oh man.
Take it from there, Mike.
We're holding it together. Some people are like, what the heck are these guys keep laughing about? That's all I gotta say. Tim, as we continue breaking down the Irish, any thoughts on like the Navy? Like, were you surprised with the Navy's RPOs or lack of?
No, I was more surprised with. Really, I mean, Goolsby talked about this. I screenshotted him a few like front plays. I'm like, where there's plays they literally you can't even find the linebacker in the box. I was like, no wonder they're just ripping off runs right down the gut. So, Mike, you're killing me tonight. Mike, you're killing me. I'm just trying to talk ball. You're killing me. So, hey, it is what it is. Yeah, Mike's having too much fun tonight.
All right. We're reeling it back in. All right, here we go.
Reel it back in. But no, yeah, and there was definitely some. I was more surprised with what Navy did. Yeah, I really does. But that's probably more, I would think, with the Sam Hartman effect of. That's why we didn't see so many cover 0 blitzes. But even in 12 personnel, they would bump Stays and Evans out, and they did doubles, basically 2x2 with them a bunch just to spread Navy out. So I found that a little fascinating. And then definitely with Great House, I really thought he played a ton. I thought it looked like it, but I went back and rewatched, and obviously the snap counts, I'm not going to lie about those, but there's plays I was like, man, I thought that was Great House. Because Great House is good looking. He's a stocky dude. Right. He's not your little thin guy out there. You rewatch it, I'm like, well, that's Stays. Stays is he's a big presence out there. But it looked like they had the leg sleeve on or something. That's why I always got that confused. But as far as real quick, to wrap up, on the tight ends, it's like, what are the numbers going to be? I went back and charted, just looked at the final stats, and I don't know all the stats memorized here, but 2017, you had Alizé Mack with 19 and Durham Smythe 15. Is Stays and Evans going to be in that role? Check this out. 2016, the meltdown year that we don't talk about, Smith 9 catches, Wisher had 3. That's it for tight ends. And then 15, which is a great offense. Mack had 3 and Durham Smythe with 13 and 3, excuse me. And Wisher had 3. So started thinking, I was like, man, is Notre Dame going to get 20, 25? Are they going to get 30? Or with Hartman, once again, Hartman at Wake Forest was a wide receiver offense. So he may go to the wide receiver a lot more, Mike, than
I don't know why you're laughing. I didn't say
I
anything.
don't know. I'm just thinking of you now. Okay, there you go.
Like you often do, Tim, I'm sure. Rick's comment here or question: how many times were the tight ends on the pattern? Did you notice them just like blocking? Go ahead, Tim.
No. Great point. There was, because that was something I really wanted to look at. Like Evans, was he targeted? He definitely was targeted. I would say twice. I saw 2 different times Hartman wanted to go to him and just like, the guy was on him a little bit, and he just was like, nope, turned away, went somewhere else. One of them definitely when Evans was on the left he was running a deep route and he wanted to look at him, but he shied away. So he did look at Evans a handful of times. And then the rest of the time, never really saw much with Stays. Stays looked like just a permanent blocker out there a ton. So, but Evans, he definitely went to.
All right, I want to get into talking about the just the wide receiver, and I have the depth chart pulled up. Actually, I'm gonna pick something else because that depth chart Notre Dame puts out, the text is so stinking small. But also find, Tim, real quick, the snap counts, excuse me, from the game Saturday, so we can kind of dive into what those looked like. But I know you did want to talk about the the Notre Dame receiver depth chart. Like, does your opinion change on who you want to see out there on Saturday against Tennessee State and then moving forward?
Yeah, no, I mean, keep playing the guys. I mean, Tyree did, a couple nice things out there. Obviously, Thomas is Thomas. But, I know Tobias is getting the bad rap times 10, but my God, he has a touchdown for crying out loud. And Hartman does his best, Drew Pine, to bounce it off of the Navy guy. He doesn't throw it far enough. And then, I know the bubble is a killer, but there's literally, I saw 2 different times, but maybe this is in Hartman's head now. So there was 2 times you see Tobias running free, just all by himself, walk-in touchdowns, obviously, if he catches it, walk-in touchdowns. And, Hartman released it earlier. So, I think Tobias is going to be fine. He's going to be fine, right? Technically, he's a redshirt freshman if we look at it like that, correct? It's not like Jaden Thomas bursted on the scene catching 8 passes a game to start last season, correct? Took him a while his sophomore year. I think it's that expectations I've talked about with him being the one wide receiver in that class. Obviously, he's dynamic. He's so tall, long, fast, all those good things we like. Just hasn't blown up yet, if you want to use that word, Mike.
Yeah, for sure. So Deion Colsey, it's interesting. Great House with 2 touchdowns. Colsey was set with 1, and Colsey only had 7 snaps, and Great House with 8, and then you had Salerno with 11. Tyree 14, Rico Flores 19, Merriweather 35. Like the staff clearly trusts him. He played a ton of football out there. And then he of course had Jaden Thomas with the 38, Tim. Yeah,
no, I mean definitely. You can see, who's who and whatnot. The Great House thing was, he obviously went out there and was more route based, especially the routes he ran and the plays that he got in there on. So it was probably a little package for him, what he was comfortable with, running some of those routes. And then, when you're going, obviously the other players, Thomas going to play a ton. Tobias, he blocked his tail off. He did good things. Had he just hit one of those deep ones, if Hartman just waited another millisecond longer, it's a different story. Or if he just hits Tobias, and everyone saw the play where he's just, Hartman felt bad. He's kicking himself.
Right.
He's kicking himself because he knew he just lofted it too much. Should have threw it sooner. But, it's going to happen. It's game 1. Even a guy who's, 3,500 snaps under his belt, and Sam Hartman, and all the games that he's played. So it happens. It's the game one. I think Tobias is going to be fine.
Tim, if you're a football coach and you know that Tobias is like one of your two best receivers on the team in terms of talent, do you say against Tennessee State, we're going to force feed him the ball a little bit? We are just going to get him the screens, get him. Hey, we know that Sam has always been connecting with Tobias on this in practice. Like, we're going to force feed him the football. Do you think that Notre Dame's going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, they can, I guess. He comes out of this game with 8 catches, 192 yards. Does that mean he's a dude? We'll find out against NC State when there's you know what I mean? It's like, it's Wednesday. I'm already programming my brain not to overreact to some of the stuff that we're going to see on Saturday. I get it. And that might be we're just obviously thinking ahead, guessing ahead. If that's him, he goes out and has a game like that. Okay, then where's it been? You know what I mean? Where was it last week? So now that expectation, that standard level performance, you just did it this week, do it against NC State. So does that pressure mount? Does he put pressure on himself? I'm curious, but Tobias he's definitely the dude. But going back to one of your points that you made, either in the live game or with Mike Goolsby, it could have been with me, was if Greathouse is playing that good, is he just pigeonholed right now at the slot because he is a freshman, or can he play? Is he can he play the field side?
That's what
and that's going to be because that's the next thing with Thomas. Thomas is a boundary guy, so can Greathouse played tons of boundary in his highlight films in high school. So obviously he's been the guy who's been man to man out there, unless they don't feel he's got the go-to speed to beat press man coverage, I would think, maybe this early in his career. So maybe they are just playing him in one spot. Rico played more because he's the wide side guy and he's just rotating in and out there.
Yeah, definitely interesting. Rico with 19 snaps to Florida's 8. And I think I talked about it in both shows. And I know you talked about, there's so much 2 tight end personnel, packages. That's why that takes out a slot. Oftentimes, because you're going to have obviously your 5 offensive linemen, you got a quarterback that's 6, you got a running back that's 7, 2 tight ends makes it 9, then you got 2 receivers, 11. So there, an extra tight end takes away from having to be able to have that slot receiver. So yeah, it's definitely interesting. Like if the defensive guys talk about, if you're a linebacker at Notre Dame, you got to know all 3 spots, right? That's what they talk about.
Yes.
I think at Notre Dame, you got to know all 3 receiver spots. So I would hope that Greathouse can get, because if he's the best, like if he's one of the best 3 receivers or 4 receivers on his team even, and they still really like Chris Tyree in the slot, and that's only where Tyree's only going to play slot. I think we would all probably agree on that. Like, can Greathouse play to the field? I think that would be pretty interesting.
No, and that's the other thing. So you have Greathouse. His numbers are down because he's behind Tyree. So Tyree's going to play so much.
And Tim, he didn't even play that.
Yeah, like 15. Is it
14?
14 snaps. Exactly. So here's Chris Tyree, which is everyone on the message board and in the live chat, every single show we've ever done together, Mike, it is
just
Tyree.
one. It's one game, though. It is one game.
True, I know, but it's always like Chris Tyree's got to do this. Chris Tyree's got to do this. We're wasting Chris Tyree. Reese never did anything good for Tyree. And then game 1, it's like he plays 14 snaps. I think he played more last year in the Ohio State game, which he felt like he barely played. So, No, I know. That's why it was fascinating going back, watching the rewatch, like, and charting the 2 tight ends, like, holy moly. I mean, the last touchdown, Mike, the double post, they had 3 tight ends out there. 3. They're in 2x2. They had Davis Sherwood as a slot. So when they went out there, they sent them all out on trips, forced Navy to call a timeout. They kept the same personnel, come out and they're 2x2. So here you go with Davis Sherwood playing slot. So maybe it's just, it was an interesting personnel thing that they had, I guess. But it goes back to, is it a package thing? You're telling me Greathouse can't go out there and block on that, the pass to Thomas on the touchdown? I just found that interesting.
Yeah, for sure. I'm gonna get into some different questions and super chats as we kind of wind down today's show. That's just blown by. I know I was laughing for half of the show. If you know, you know, kind of thing. But just Tim just cracks me up. Trash with the again, Trash. This man, Trash. Do you know you can post comments without having a super chat? I just want to let you know because the guy only posts super chats. Really appreciate him. You're the goat, Trash. He says Caleb Williams won the Heisman last year. Many voters said if they knew about his fingernails, they wouldn't have. They said even if he was the best this year, they won't. If you had a vote, would you?
I mean, if he's the best player, he's the best player.
What
right?
is he even putting on his fingernails again?
Remember, he did the FND or F note Irish, or then he did F Utah, and I guess it was a thing he did all year long. He came out and said he did it every game against the teams that he played. You know, I have no idea if anyone in the chat watched. I watched a bunch of the game last week against San Jose State. I didn't pay attention. I didn't hear any fingernails thing, so I don't know if anyone.
Tim, if we're base,
I mean, if Caleb Williams comes out this year and he dominates and he does what he did last year and he's the best player and SC is Pac-12 champs going to the Final Four, he's going to New York.
If Caleb puts something derogatory, like really just nasty, like and hateful, sure. But if it's just F this team, like I feel like people who complain about this are also the same people who are like, why do players after the game hug each other and give each other their jerseys? Like, which one is it? Like, hey, I don't care about this at all.
Yeah,
if he's the best player, I mean, if we're going to talk off the field stuff like that, and I know that's on the field, but has nothing to do with the actual gameplay, right? Unless it's something really like it's got to be bad. Like this is nothing. I don't care.
Well, it's I mean, what are you going to do with So he does that, but he makes a lot of money in his NIL, but he's giving it away. He does tons of charity stuff. He does. I mean, every time he gets anything, it's going right back to his players, kind of like the Hartman things did. Caleb's been doing that for 2 years. So, it is what it is. I think that's just his motivation. It is what it is on his nails, right?
All right. I think Trash, thank you for the super chat. I just think we're done talking about this. I think this is a dumb conversation. Really do appreciate the super chat, but I don't really want to be talking about fingernails anymore. This is just a waste of time. So sorry, Tim. I don't know if you had a really great point there at the end.
No, it's fine. Yeah, it's commenting off of it.
They're fingernails. We're good. Tim, this was from Andrew earlier. He says, what would you do as offensive coordinator to get Tobias going? I feel like they need to involve him in some underneath stuff. I think that's kind of what I was saying earlier. And Andrew says, forcing everything over the top seems too predictable and low percentage. I agree with the last sentence, and I think it's you and Goolsby that are like, just put Braylon James in and have him run a 9 route. It's like, okay, that's cute, but then every single time Braylon James comes in, it's like everyone just kind of knows what to expect. So I actually agree with the point from Andrew here. Like, I think Tobias is more than just a one-trick 9-route pony. Like, I think he can, So I'm curious, just kind of what do you think about this discussion, Tim?
Well, they did that. They did that instantly to start the game with Tobias, right? Give him a little mojo, a little bubble screen, get a couple blocks, turn it up, go make a big play. And they tried that, last week. So I'm sure they're going to keep doing this. Yeah, I don't think he's just a go route guy. He was open a bunch of some posts and some deep crossers that he was running. So no, we just haven't seen it. The only thing we've ever seen is one catch, right?
Yeah,
it's crazy how much we talk about him and the Notre Dame fan base since last year. Like, I mean, my God, the first game of the year last year, half of it was either, once again, announcers or why aren't we playing the freshman wide receivers? And it's continued with him. And here he is, one game into the season, he still has one career catch, which is, I mean, it's fascinating. I mean, so learn on that catch last week. It's like, come on.
Got to get him going. EK says it should be the same as with Audric. If you drop a pass, you set. Just the impact of a drop pass versus a fumble. I mean, it's a turnover versus you go again.
And the turnover
a little bit different.
Yeah, and the turnover obviously had the ball inside. It was great swipe out from the Navy guy. But yeah, I found that interesting. It's like, well, Freeman says, well, our standard is no turnovers. Okay, so does that mean when Hartman throws a pick, is he out? It's
He did say that.
I found that interesting. Like, why? I know it's corny. I
doing that.
didn't like that. I didn't like that. It's like turnovers are part of the game. It happens, and
Yeah.
and obviously they benched Audric because they could. It was perfect time to go get some other dudes some carries after by the time he'd done that, he was already warming up and having a heck of a game.
Yeah, kind of set an example kind of deal.
You know what? It also goes back just real quick off that because you asked this question in our live show. Why was he playing at the end? And I was thinking, because I was watching that, when he was out there with Angeli in that group, was that punishment to go out there and play mop up tailback? I don't know. I just found that a little interesting. Going back once again in the rewatch, why was he out there?
There's no punishment for a running back getting the ball. Like that's
yeah. I know. It's like we're gonna send you out there with the backup whole line.
That's like being punished. It's like your mom grounds you. Oh, go play video games.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And I was like, oh, sure, I would love to. So
I was doing that back in the rewatch, going off of your comments during our show. Like, yeah, why was he out there? That was weird.
I would love that answer. Blue Trash, appreciate the super chat. Says blue and gold was my childhood. I think you got cut off your rest of your sentence there, but let me know.
Oh, you probably mean so I will only do super chats. Love it. Thank you, Trash.
Oh, yeah, Trash. I got you, and really appreciate it. You're the man. But no more fingernail talk. I'm kidding. Not really. So I did say in one of our shows, it was Jay Carr was like, Mike, if Notre Dame beats Navy by 30, will you shave? Where you go cliche. I've said sure. So I will as soon as I will. I just need a few more days. Okay, just calm down, guys. I was just
shaving your goatee because Notre Dame beat Navy
by third. It wasn't like no, I don't think they will. It was just like, sure, buddy. I probably need to anyway. So it's just going for something new. So
gotcha.
But yeah, I got to get a haircut and I got to do the whole thing. So when you're on TV as much as this guy is,
yeah, you are on a lot.
Andrew at Super Chase says 10 thoughts on Zachariah Branch. Is he the next Percy Harvin? One game against San Jose State. Let's pump the brakes a little bit. But this kid's fantastic, Tim. How does Notre Dame defend him going forward? Yeah,
flip a coin, have fun. I mean, who's covering him? DJ Brown, because he's going to play the slot. Jack Kaiser out there. That's going to be a fun game. I saw his high. First off, he's one of the best players in the country in high school out of Bishop Gorman. I mean, I remember texting you a year ago, Mike, and you just said, I think you even said you've seen him at a camp or something, and you said he's unreal.
Yeah, I saw him play last year.
Yeah.
2 punt returns for touchdowns. He was nuts.
Oh, he's unbelievable. I sent it to Goolsby, and I was like, who's covering? I literally said the same thing that Andrew said. Who's covering this guy? And he's a different dude with the ball in his hands. But we got Ohio State first before we play SC. We got a bunch of games, but he is a dynamic football player, and one Notre Dame's going to have to figure out who in the heck is going to cover him.
All right, you keep talking about one day closer to Ohio State. You're kind of dismissing NC State a little bit. Do you not think NC State would be able to put up a challenge?
Well, I've said why. Well, because if Notre Dame can't go into Raleigh and beat NC State, then they have no business, right? I mean, this entire season, all this hype, all this, we're going to the playoffs, Heisman for Hartman, all. If you can't beat NC State and you're Notre Dame, then enjoy 8-4.
Yeah,
you're going 8-4. You're going 8-4
to Marshall and Stanford last year, and then beat Clemson.
Okay, exactly. Okay, great. So you're telling me Marcus Freeman in his second year hasn't learned anything? Then Notre Dame has the wrong head football coach. Does Notre Dame have the wrong head football coach if he in his second year hasn't learned anything from the practice routine? This always, we don't, no one's really ever talked about this, but what was the messaging? The head coach is the messaging. Freeman kind of talked about this as the season went on, where he kind of hinted every week was a new week. Every week was this different message. And then I think it was going into the Clemson, or maybe it was the Syracuse game after Stanford, right? Where he was just like, man, it sounded like he admitted he's doing a lot of things wrong. And it's like, boom, one play, one life, whatever his thing is. He just stuck to one darn thing, and it was that moving forward. So I'm going off of that, the way they finished last year, the bowl win, the off season, how well they played as a team on Saturday was a lot of fun to watch. They came out and were ready to roll as a coaching staff, as a program, as players. And not saying Notre Dame's going to go undefeated and whatnot, but I mean, my God, Notre Dame should go into NC State and beat NC State. If they do not beat NC State, Mike, the after show is going to be on fire because Notre Dame is going to struggle.
I agree. I agree. But my point is still that Notre Dame can lose a game at NC State and then still beat other big time teams. Like they can.
Of course they can. Of course they can. It's like, but no one's gonna like that. No one's gonna.
Yeah.
No one's gonna like that. And I always go back to last year once again, real quick. Is the Marshall thing? You don't want to understand it, but it was such. I mean, once again, that Ohio State game. I mean, it was a Super Bowl. It was Freeman's first true game. It's alma mater. All that good crap we've talked about, right? I said the wrong word. Sorry, Mike. So we knew all that stuff. So it was a little bit of hangover for Marshall. And they played that way. They struggled that way. And the Stanford game was just misexecution. It really was, man. Remember they had a touchdown and the son of a gun covered a guy up. Just wrong alignment. They're going in to win the game, going back to estimate. He fumbles the football as they're going in to win the football game. So that was just a mess, which it could be all players, or is that still a head coach learning out how to be a head coach with his the way he talks and things like that to his messaging to the team. That's why I don't think NC State, all this talk about Duke, I get all these things, man. But if Notre Dame is where we all think, so many people predicting playoffs at 11-1, sure, there's going to be tough games. There's going to be some hard-nosed football games. Notre Dame should win those games. It's just my take.
All right, we're going to hear from our final sponsor of the show, Dude Wipes. No, I'm kidding. Not Dude Wipes. But we do have a really cool sponsor here, ESC Property Sales. It's a business that is doing a lot of good things in South Bend. And if you're looking to buy or sell a home in the Notre Dame area, you're going to want to contact ESC Property Sales. For over 10 years, they've worked hand in hand with buyers and sellers in 5 Eddy Street Commons residential communities. Their intimate knowledge of every community down to the specific details of each floor plan and finished is unparalleled. And their long list of contacts and relationships works to your benefit to list or purchase a home near the university. Find details at eschomesales.com. Again, folks, eschomesales.com. If you are interested in buying or selling a home in South Bend, please do that. I know that when me and my wife bought a property, an investment property in Clemson, South Carolina. I really wanted South Bend, but my wife did not. She wasn't going for that. It was, it didn't make a whole lot of sense for us, distance wise. But I thought it made a whole lot of sense. But different discussion for a different day. And if I would have done it, I would have definitely hit up ESC Property Sales. Again, folks, that website to visit is eschomesales.com. Okay, did we have from Rick, a friend of the show, says, how about the play of Jordan Patelho? 2 very good young backups as well.
Yeah, he was physical. You're playing Navy and you're going to get, ran out 1,000 times. So played physical. Burnham was obviously, we talked about him after our, in our live show, the big sack he had and stuff like that. So, good. 2 very good football players, backing him up. So, you get 3 good DNs, see how that rotation goes this year. But, hey, I said that was one of my my hot takes this year was going to be the Vipers are going to have more sacks than Foskey and Adamiola last year with 14. So they got 1 right now in Burnham. We'll see how it rolls here. They may get 12 this week, but
And then something from Andrew, who says on Fox Sports Radio, Brady Quinn called Notre Dame a contender because of Hartman, Andrew says, Tim, did you hear this? And do you have any thoughts on it?
I just saw a tweet. I just saw the quote. I didn't listen to it, but this has been the national media from every single national guy who's got a radio show, a TV show, a podcast or whatever. And you're working for a big, big affiliates and all that. That's all they talked about. I mean, was it massive overreaction off of one game? It's week 0. Who else you going to watch? Jacksonville State won, correct? So there's another one. But it's Notre Dame. It was a great win. Unbelievable. Hartman came out and did everything. I think Hartman was fine. I think we lose track of how much he's played. Going back to that graphic Goolsby talked about in his show Sunday night, I saw that again in the rewatch. It's crazy. He's up to he's got almost 3,500 snaps under his belt. He's played in nearly 50 games now. So he was benched. That's the other thing no one ever talks about. Hartman was benched. Hartman got beat out as a sophomore. So he had to sit back, watch, learn, keep developing and things of that nature. So you got a 6-year quarterback, man. It's crazy. He'll get his few snaps this week. And then going back to your point about NC State, this is Notre Dame's got to go win all these ACC games on the road. And then obviously they got the big 3 games this year.
Yeah. So Hartman's sophomore year, what would that have been, like 98?
Oh my God. Can you imagine that? I mean, seriously, that's 19. It's crazy when you see some of these things. Like he's, when guys post his age compared to some of the NFL quarterbacks that are starting and how he's older than all these guys. And he played against Ian Book. That's crazy to think about. He played against Ian Book, for crying out loud.
Yeah.
And here's Ian Book's been in the league now for a couple of years. It's crazy.
So after we're done with this live show, which we'll wrap up here in just a couple moments, Tim and I are going to record our final thoughts, observations, and prediction video that will go live Friday at noon Eastern. So please do check that out. But yeah, Tim, just to give a preview of that, just your early thoughts on Tennessee Notre Dame. I mean, early thoughts. The game's only a few days away, but thoughts, as of Wednesday evening.
Get out of there. It's going to be one of those games. Get out of there. Have fun. It's going to be a great atmosphere. Obviously, Tennessee State's going to bring fans. Their band. I heard their band's going to be doing the whole halftime show, which is awesome. So it's going to be a great environment for those guys. Obviously the opponent, things of that nature. You don't want to play into that. Go out and execute. So that's what we want to see. We want to go see out there, see Notre Dame execute, handle business. And we're all dying to see a bunch of the young guys and things of that nature, because who knows when you see them next, correct? Because this is a pretty tough schedule, so there's no guarantees when we see any of these guys next. So go out there, have some fun, see Hartman sling it. I would love to see him throw a bunch of touchdowns once again, get those up, because I predicted 15 against the 3 easy games. That's a big bar. I should have went 12, but it's like I went 15, right? Might go big or go home, right? So there you go. I went with 15. And
Tim, I probably should have asked this much earlier, but what are you laughing at? Tim's just chuckling over here. The FCS thing, again, we should have talked about this earlier, but Notre Dame playing, it's what now? USC and UCLA are the only other teams that haven't played an FCS team. Notre Dame had been that. Is this something that you care about, Tim? Are you fine with them playing an FCS team here?
Everyone does it, right? USC is going to the Big Ten. They're going to play 9 Big Ten teams. They've already announced they're playing Notre Dame, so they're going to have 10 Power 5 games. Don't be surprised if they go play, UC Davis, right? Early in the season, someone like that. Eastern Washington up in the West Coast, someone,
Don't play them.
What is that? Oh, the Red
These are good.
I know. Yeah. Eastern Washington's really good. But, I wouldn't be surprised if they do that. UCLA probably do it too. It is what it is. I understand it. It's smart scheduling for where it's at in the schedule, especially right after Dublin. So I'm curious, heck, are they going to do it again next year, right? Because Miami dropped. So are they going to pick up one of those, or are they going to just go get because every Power 5 game is probably locked in unless they can find 5 for next year. So
yeah.
I'm fine with it. It is what it is. It is what it is. I mean, when the entire SEC does it in the middle of November, which is, why do they do that? To rest all their legs for the big rivalry week, the bowl, moving forward. So I'm fine.
Yeah, I'm with you.
I've heard so many like Notre Dame alums on podcasts from Zorich, Ryan Hare. I mean, you hear all these guys that have been on alums, and it's no big deal to them.
Yeah, and I think like they picked a good team to play too in HBCU. Eddie George, the head coach. Like, yeah, if you're just scheduling some rando FCS school, like I like that there was some thought in the picking it as well. But yeah, that's gonna wrap up today's show. Tim, you did. I thought this was one of your best performance shows. Like you carried me tonight. You really did. I needed you, and you did a phenomenal job. So, folks, please do hit the thumbs up on this video, and subscribe to our channel for more content. Tim, do you have any closing remarks?
No.
That's it. That's all from Tim. And that's all from me. Really appreciate you guys hanging out. Hit that thumbs up. Go to blueandgold.com for so much more Notre Dame football and recruiting coverage. 10:30 a.m. Thursday. That's 10:30 a.m. Eastern time. Kyle Kelly and myself will have a Notre Dame recruiting update show, so please do hang out for that. Friday, noon Eastern, we'll have our final thoughts, observation, and prediction video for Notre Dame, Tennessee. After the game, me and Tim will break it down. Sunday night, Goolsby and I will find some stuff to talk about, which should be fun. And again, folks, that's going to wrap up this show. We will catch you guys next time.